everyone, and welcome to my Python programming tutorial. In this video, we will talk about if and if else and if elif statements. So these are the selection statements. Just like in your normal life, we have to, when you have to make a decision, or you have to make a selection whether you want to do this task or whether you want to go with this part. So you have some conditions, you may have some scenarios, and some of the programming problems will be related to your normal life as well. So let's take a look. These are the conditions. Okay, so these are not loops, these are known as the conditions. So if is the condition, and these conditions works with the Boolean expressions we have. So these are over here are known as comparison operators, or I would say, and why they are known as Boolean data type, or because they will return you a true and a false. So they will only tell you true and false. So when you have to do a comparison of two statements, because there you have to make a decision whether this is true, then do this part. If this is false, then do this part. So to check whether two values are equal in Python or in any programming language, we don't use single equal sign, just like in math. We don't do that that way over here in programming. You use double equal sign, two equals, to check whether A is equals to B, or string A is equals to string B, or like 1 2 3 equals to 2 3 4, something like this. Whenever you have to do the comparison, it will always be double equal sign. And the opposite of this is not equal. So for example, my condition is if this is not equal, if A is not equals to B, then do this part. If they are equal, I'm fine with it. So to represent the not equal, you use exclamation mark from your keyboard and the equal sign. That exclamation mark represent in programming, it represents not, like it says not equal. And then we have less than symbol, greater than, less than equals to, greater than equals to. Okay, so as you are typing, you won't be able to do like in math. What you do is you say less than and you put one dash below it. That would work over here. And even if you are writing it on a paper, especially right now, you won't be doing it. But when you go for a company, for a job interview, internship interview, anything, never ever write less than and below less than equal sign. The equal sign always come in front, or in front of that operator. So less than equal, just as you can see like this, you have to write it like this, and less than equal and greater than equal. So these are the comparison operators, and they will always return you an answer as true and false, whether they are equal or not, whether they are less, greater, whatever the situation is. Now with if else, we have a sample code in front of us where you have some if and else scenarios. So if this is true, whether when you read a programming question and you feel like that this is a condition, or this is a statement or selection I have to make, then you realize that you have to use the if condition. And how many if? When you have to make two choices, it will be if and else. But when you have multiple choices, I will tell you in a moment like what statements you will be using. So as you can see over here, you have an area variable. This is the example you have seen before, and I believe in chapter 2, where and then you are checking that variable if variable is greater than 0, and all of your if statement ends with a colon. No semicolon, with a colon, two dots, and there are no parentheses, as you can see, and your else also ends with a colon. So you need to look for the syntax part, because it may give you an error if you skip this colon. If and Python is case sensitive, so everything is in lowercase letters. If area is greater than 0, then do this part. Python is more of the indentation part. So indentation in Python is very, very important. So as you can see, this if statement is at this point, and then you have to put a tab, or in the one space, I would say not a tab, one space, to make sure that these two lines are part of if condition. So if this is true, then these two lines will run. If this is not true, then it will go in else and print this part. So if your condition is not true, so if condition is not true, no matter then your else will definitely run no matter what. So else don't have a condition, else will never have a condition. Else is the case if none of this thing is true, then print it, like do it. So with else, you never write a condition. So this is the syntax of an else. If you have a condition ends with a colon, you have sequence of statements, then you have else. And as you can see, if and else both have the same indentation, and the statement insides, they have the same indentation. So indentation from now on will give you an error, because you are using if and else scenario, you will use loops, they will give you an error. You need to think which lines are part of if and which lines are not part of if. I will show you in PyCharm right now that what difference they will make. So this is the flowchart which we have discussed before in our class. So you have done a lot of practice in our flowchart. So same, this decision box over here, the diamond shape which we created again and again in our flowchart, that represent if. So if this is true, do this part written in if. Else, if it's not true, go in the else situation. So we have some couple of more statements. As you can see, this is the example how to find the minimum number and maximum number. And by just mentioning or creating or assigning, you're finding the minimum number and maximum number. There are other ways, simple ways as well to find minimum and maximum, but this is just to explain you if and else scenario, how that scenario will work. So let's move on. One way selection statement. This is one way where is, for example, you have, remember when I started the lecture, I said, when you have two choices, if this thing doesn't happen, then do the other part, like if and else. But what if you don't have a choice? You're like one way. If this is true, do this, otherwise don't do anything. So don't just bother to do anything. Don't say anything. So simple form of selection. You may think where these situations are used, or why we have to just write if, because that doesn't sound so doesn't sound good as a programmer or as a user, but it will work. Trust me, you will see some examples where you only need if, you don't need else. Some simplest form of selection, as you can see, if this is true, simple, you just write if, but you don't write the else situation. If this is true, do this, else there is no point that do anything. Multi-way if statement. So multiple if statement is when you have multiple options. If this thing doesn't happen, then this part. If this thing doesn't happen, then the other one, then the other one, and so on, depending on how many conditions you have, how many choices you have, or options you have. And in this situation, multiple if way, you always have an else. Okay, so the example is in front of you. Maybe when you are working on a grade, so you have, if the grades are above 89, grade A, above grades are above 79, grade B 69, grade C, and grades are below 70 will be grade F. So you have multiple situations, multiple grades, multiple values. Here you have multi-way if statement, which is elif. Usually in Java, you will say else if, and I think in C++ as well, it's else if. But in Python, it's elif, ELNIF, if, and no space between the letters. And you can have multiple elif depending on how many options you have. And then you write the condition same way you write in if, ends with a colon, not with semicolon. And every elif will have a condition, not like else that you don't have a condition. Every elif will have a condition, just like your if statement. And this is the syntax. As you can see, you may have one elif, you may have multiple, or 2, 3, depending on, again, your condition, your code. So let's jump on to the logical operators. After going through all this, we will jump onto PyCharm and do some examples and see how our PyCharm is working with these examples. So logical operators, as you can see, you have seen relational operators, or I would say comparison operators. You have seen arithmetic operators, which were plus, minus, multiplication, division, mod. These are arithmetic operators. And then greater than, less than, greater than equals to, less than equals to, equal equals to. They are all relational operators. They are creating a relation or telling you the relation, or you can say comparison operators. Now we have logical operators. We have 3 logical operators, and, or, and not. And the representation of and or not is different in different programming languages. In Python, you just write simple and, A-N-D, O-R, and N-O-T. What and operator does, NOT, just forget about NOT right now, and or. And means it when you have you have two statements and both of them is true, then your answer will be true if you have and operator. But if one condition is true and the other one is false, your answer will always be false. So if you have and operator in the middle and you have two statements, this is giving you true, this is giving you true, only if then your answer will be true. If one of them is false or both of them is false, your answer will be false. Opposite is the case with the or operator, which is this diagram or this chart table, that if one of them is true, your answer will be true. So or operator, what it does, if any of the side is true, your answer will be true. If both of them are false, then your answer is false. Okay, as you can see, true, true, answer is true. One side is true, other side is false, true, because you got one true. False, true, answer is true. False, false will give you answer false, false with or operator. Both are opposite to one another. And the last operator we have is and what this not operator, what this not operator does is just do the opposite. So if your answer is true and you have a not operator with it, it will the output will be false. So it will just do the opposite of whatever the answer you have or the Boolean expression you have. I know it's confusing right now. Hopefully there are examples in the next statement. So let's take a look over here. They have made very basic. I will show you the example in PyCharm with the expressions of our logical operators, which will give you a clear picture. Just a review. These are the all the operators you have seen. We have seen the exponentiation in our chapter 2. We have multiple division, arithmetic, and then we have comparison over here, and then these are your logical. And again, this single equal sign means assignment operator over here. And if you want to compare equal equal, you have double equal, and it goes in the comparison operator. For logical operator in detail, I will show you right now, but I don't think there is more. Let's jump onto PyCharm and do some practice on if and else and see some of our examples. Okay, so we are on PyCharm. So let's start with simple basic if and else condition. So we have, first of all, we will take a number, I will say from user, it will be of int type, and I will say input. And input, I will ask for enter a number. And then inside, what we will do is, so this is the number, and after taking the number, we will check whether this number, or let's take two valid numbers. So let's say A and B. Okay, so let's do it A variable and a B variable, B equals to, and I will copy this whole line, Control C, and I will say Control V, and input, enter a number, A or A, and like this. And what I'm doing with simple if condition is if, and what I will do is, as I'm more of a Java programmer, so I may make some Java syntax mistakes. So let's take a look, because in Java you put parentheses. Over here you don't have parentheses. So my condition is if A is greater than B, colon, enter. As you said, enter, PyCharm automatically have did the indentation for you. As you can see, where my cursor is blinking right now. So I will say print A comma, I will say is greater, right? A is greater, and then I will write else, and as you can see, there is an error. So if you recall, you cannot write else over here because this is indented. So go back else, and now as you can see, this red line is quite helping me understand where I should be writing. So again, else, if A is greater than B, then so print A is greater. If A is not greater, it means B is greater. So I don't have to write the condition. It automatically because I'm comparing two numbers. So I will automatically be writing print. I will write the value of B and double quotation marks, B is greater. And let's take a look. Let me move my, okay. So as you can see, let's run my code, what we have. If we have errors, we will take a look, what are the errors and what we have to do. Okay, I forgot the colon. Don't make syntax mistakes. Both of them have colons. Enter number A, so let's enter 5, enter number B, let's enter 8. So 8 is greater, it's working. It went into the second else, and let's now enter 11. and 6. So it should say 11 is greater. So as you can see, my code is working fine to identify two numbers, which number is greater. The mostly the errors will be of syntax and the indentation part, okay? But PyCharm is very user friendly. It will give you a hint just like it was giving me how to identify. So now let's take a number from user and we will do Elif situation, okay? So we have multiple statements to check. So let's enter, I will say, let enter your grade. So enter your grade. And so I have multiple conditions. So if A is, so A is my grade. If A is greater than 90, I'm a harsh grader. So I will say print, you got A. And then I have Elif, where you have if A is greater than, if A is not greater than 90, it will check my second if. So what if I have 89 or something? So if I say if A is greater than 80, then you have to print B and colon up. And then I have more Elif, and it will be if A is greater than 70, I'm giving a C. And if A is Elif C above, or no, else he has failed the class. Okay, so print, it will be F. There is no D. Okay, so let's run and let's see if our grade is printing fine. So if our grade is greater than 90, it will print A. So let's say my grade is 95 and the output is A. So let's say my grade is 90. So what do you think will be 90? It will be B, because I only said A is greater than 90. So if I want to give A to a student who also got 90, I have to say greater than equals to 90. So now, as you can see in my previous code, there was no equal. So when I say 90, it was B. So let's run again and again enter 90, because I want to give an A to a student who got 90 points as well. So now it works for A. So if you want to make sure equals, so you can put equals. So same with student with 80, he will get a grade C, which is not good. Like 80 grade is C as compared to what I'm doing with my 90 point student. Okay, so same goes if I enter grade like 36 something. Oops, I entered the wrong. 36 and the grade is F. So this is how my Elif conditions are working. Now let's take a look at the logical operator part, which I was discussing about and, or, and not. So let's take a look what that and, or, and not does. Instead of taking input from user, I will be creating some expressions to show you how and, or, and not operator works. So let's take a look at and operator. For and operator, all three of them will return answer true or false. Okay, so let's say I will print 5 equals to 5, and the other one is 4 equals to 3. So 5 equals to 5. Is this true or false? This is true. 5 is equals to 5. But 4 equals to 3. Is it true or false? This is false. With the AND operator, this is true and this is false. So the answer will be false. With AND operator, if any of the side is false, answer will be false. So let's run and the answer is false. But if I change, opposite is the case with the OR operator. So if I change it to OR, it will be true, because with the OR operator, if any of the side is true, answer is true, as you can see right now over here. Okay, so with OR, to get the answer false, what I will do is I will have to make both of the side false for the answer false with OR operator. You can memorize one of them or remember one of them, what OR operator does or AND operator does for the easiest way possible. If this is very simple for you, that's perfect. That's good. But if you're having a trouble understanding the concept, I would recommend understanding what OR operator does only, so that you know how OR works, and then you can do the opposite with the AND. So this is false, right? 5 equals to 2 is false, and 4 equals to 3 is false. So the answer is false. So let's take a look at AND operator, how AND will react. This is false, this is false. So AND will also return you false. Run again, and the answer is false. Let's bring some true with the AND. So 4 equals to 4 and 5 equals to 5. I'm just writing simple expression statements, but you can make it complicated, or you will see maybe in the future. So for the answer true, you have to say true. Now, what the not operator does. So here comes your not operator. So as you can see, the answer is true right now for this expression. So, but if I put not or apply not operator to this expression, my answer will be false, because what not does, it do the opposite. So if the answer is giving you true, it will print false. Run, and the answer is false. So as you can see, at first it did the inner parenthesis, 5 equals to 5, true. 4 equals to 4, true. And operator, answer is true. So this section is holds true. And then you applied the not, which turned true to false, and the output is false. If you just make a change, say 5 equals to 7, your answer will be true, because 5 equals to 7 is false. And because of AND operator, if any of the side is false, it will give you false. And when you apply not operator, it will return true. So this is about logical operator. Hopefully this makes sense about logical operator. You will use all these operators, all these conditions a lot in the future in your programming questions. So make sure you know how these things work. The question where and how we will be using it, you will see in your book, in which you will be applying these concepts. So just watch and read and try to understand the concept, because this is beginners programming. We will do more harder problems and questions in the future. That's it for this video. Thank you. Bye-bye.